Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, we are making pad thai at home. Okay, so these are all the ingredients we will be needing for the pad thai. I will leave the exact measurements down below in the description box. There's a lot of ingredients, but they're all super easy to find, like at Walmart. So it shouldn't be too much trouble to find everything during this pandemic. But we have some rice noodles, some chicken thighs, salt, pepper, umami seasoning. You can use any all-purpose seasoning. I'm using some baked tofu. You can use extra firm tofu if you can't find baked tofu. So yeah, I'll leave everything down below. So I have 3 medium-sized chicken thighs that I diced up, and I'm going to season it up now with some salt to taste. Some black pepper to taste. And some of my umami seasoning. Now, some people, they don't even season their meat of their choice prior to cooking it in their pad thai, but I season everything. So every bite has tons of flavor. Now I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to mix it up and then set it aside while I get everything else ready for the pad thai. So I will leave the exact measurements for the sauce below. I ended up doubling it because it needed more sauce towards the end, but I did not show it in the video. So I'll leave the exact measurements down below. But I'm using some sugar, vinegar, fish sauce, sriracha, soy sauce, and lime. If you have tamarind sauce, you can add it, but that's super hard to find right now. So I did not go out of my way to find it. But again, I'll leave everything down below because what I'm showing here, I ended up doubling it towards the end. And I did not show it in the video.
Produced by Love.
So now I'm chopping up about a half of a red onion, 4 cloves of garlic, 3 spring onions, and I have about 1/4 of a cup of bean sprouts that I sprinkle in towards the end. I'm not chopping that up. But as you can see here, I'm smashing the garlic so you can really get the oils out so they're super fragrant when you're frying it in the pan. So for the green onion, I like to use the ends, like the whiter flesh, for the actual frying part. And I like to top the pad thai with the end of the green onion, the greener part. So now I'm preparing the baked tofu. This is teriyaki flavored. You can use whatever baked tofu you find. The teriyaki flavor actually was pretty good in the pad thai. So in the beginning, I showed 2 different tofus, the extra firm tofu or the baked tofu. So I went with the baked tofu. I prefer the flavor of this one. Also, The extra firm tofu requires more work. You actually have to dry it out pretty well so it's not wet. The baked tofu is pretty dry already in the inside, so it fries up really well, and it's a little bit more chewy when you bite into it. If you can see the inside, yeah. So it's more dry compared to the extra firm tofu. You don't have to strain out the water in this one. And the edges create a really nice crust whenever you fry it in the pan. So now we have everything ready. We have our marinated and seasoned chicken, our tofu, our chopped onions, garlic and spring onions, our roasted and salted peanuts. The tofu is sliced kind of thin. We have our 2 eggs and our sauce and our bean sprouts ready to go. I did use bean sprouts that were in a can because that's all I could find. And since we are in quarantine, I'm not going to multiple stores to try and find everything. But here I have my rice noodles that I'm soaking in warm water. So if you do use half of the package, the amount of sauce that you saw me create is enough. But if you choose to use the whole package, you have to double the sauce. So I'm letting the rice noodles soak in the water for about 20 minutes. Here I'm frying up my garlic, letting it get kind of toasted up. And then I'm gonna add my tofu directly to the pan. Now let this cook until it gets crispy on both sides. So I tossed my baked tofu to the side and I'm adding my chicken thighs and I'm letting that cook alongside of the tofu, and I'm doing the same thing with the chicken, making sure that it's crispy on both sides or has some color on both sides. Okay, so once the chicken is mostly cooked, I'm going to add in my red onions and let that saute with everything. So now I'm taking the entire package of pad thai noodles and I'm adding it slowly to the pan to fry. So at this point I thought I would use half, but I ended up making the whole thing. So yeah, that's why I'm slowly adding in all of the pad thai noodles here. I'm showing the texture of the noodles. They're soft, just like an al dente pasta would be. You don't want it to be so mushy because you are adding the sauce that adds moisture to the pad thai noodles, and you don't want a soupy pad thai. So here I have about 1/4 of a cup of dry roasted peanuts. They are salted. I am chopping them up, not super fine. I do want a few chunks in there. Some of this will go directly into the pan to cook with the pad thai, and the rest I will use to top the pad thai once it's done cooking for an added crunch. How it looks, real pad thai-y. Now we're gonna take our sauce, pour it out and go. Crushed peanuts. Save some for the top. My daddy's Cheetos.
Wow.
Those are yummy. Oh wow. Okay, so here I wanted to add more salt to my pad thai, but I didn't want to add it directly in. So I added it to about a tablespoon of warm water, and I sprinkled that in. I would suggest doing this to taste. If you are doubling the sauce, then you may not need to do this because there is soy sauce in it, so there should be plenty of salt. But at this point, I didn't add the second portion of sauce. So do this to taste. If you think it needs more salt, add it. If not, it should be okay. So here I am plating it up. Again, this was before I added the second amount of sauce, but it was still good like this. But of course, I wanted more flavor, so I added more sauce. Put a lime on the side, some crushed peanuts, some scallions, and some
Produced by Whistler.
So this is the finished product, you guys. It was so good. I hope you guys try it. Let me know down below if you do end up trying it, and if you added the full portion of sauce that I described down below, or just half. Anyways, have a good day, guys. Bye.